respect, or you would not have consented to her using your own house to host the party." "It was a ludicrous idea from the start," Livesey responded, refusing to acknowledge any agreement with his sister's scheme. She'd browbeaten him into submission as far as he was concerned. He was struggling already with the situation, and they were only on the third day. He had no idea how he was going to survive without either offending everyone or killing a large number of the grouping. The way he was feeling at the moment, if he chose the latter, his beloved sister would be the first in line. "If you used it for the opportunity it is, it could turn into the best of ideas. If it secures a mother for those girls of yours, all will end well." Aunt Dixon refused to pander to Livesey's unreasonableness. "And which of the ladies present would you suggest is my best option for finding a new wife, Aunt? The 6 chosen by my sister are supposed to be perfect for being a life partner to me, in Jessica's opinion. I am certainly at a loss as to how I could bear to spend 2 weeks with any of them, let alone the remainder of my days." Livesey responded with derision, although there was a touch of despair in his tone that only those who knew him would hear. Serena Dixon smiled at her nephew. He was nearing 28, but was still as headstrong as he had been as a boy. He had married young to Angelina, a fiery Italian whom he had met on his grand tour. Theirs had been a passionate but short-lived marriage, which had shocked the family. Angelina had given birth to 3 children in quick succession, and then in one particular fit of temper had smashed too many heirlooms to count and stormed out of the house. Her drowned body had been found later in the large lake on the estate, which was ridiculously close to the house for something so terrible to happen unseen. Unfortunately for Angelina, no one had followed her outside on that fateful day. No one could say for sure if she had meant to drown herself or if it was just an escalation of the dramatics for which she was well known. Whatever the reason, something had gone wrong, and Livesey had not pursued his wife as he usually did. He normally spent time and energy bringing her out of her dark moods. Perhaps he had reached the end of his patience with her. Perhaps she had with him. No one would ever truly know. He had not sought her, and an hour later her body had been dragged from the lake by a member of staff. The scandal, gossip, and guilt that had been caused by Angelina's death had forced Livesey into hiding from the world for the next 6 years. Eventually Lady Jessica Knowles, his younger sister, had decided that his children needed a mother whether he was ready to remarry or not. Having daughters of 8, 9, and 10, Livesey could not really argue that his girls didn't need a female influence. He had been willing to accept Aunt Dixon and Jessica supporting them. Thus he considered the idea of Jessica's having a house party at his home with carefully selected women foolish in the extreme. He couldn't acknowledge to anyone, least of all himself, why he'd agreed to it. That reason was because of a small nugget of hope, which refused to be stamped out. He'd felt adrift since before Angelina's death, and in the dead of night on one of his many nights lying awake, he'd longed for someone who could change the way he felt. By the time dawn broke, he'd carefully packaged that longing away. He was a fool to even consider that a person could help soothe his soul and give him comfort. No, there wasn't a person alive who could do that. Jessica has considered the merits of each of the 6 ladies present. She spent months assessing who would be best suited to you. Aunt Dixon responded. "I could have saved her the time and trouble. I could see within minutes of their arrival that none of them will do." Livesey ground out. "You are still a handsome fellow, not yet in your dotage. I'm sure one of them could be persuaded," came the slightly mocking response. Livesey's lips twitched, despite his ill mood. Only those closest to him could ever make him smile, but it was never often enough for their liking. "Thank you for the compliment, I think." It was true. He was handsome, as dark as his wife had been, with such dark eyes they were almost black when thunderous, which was more often than not. He didn't smile very often. Instead, he had 2 deep grooves on his forehead, which, even when he smiled, betrayed the position of the almost constant frown he wore. Sharp-featured, he was striking and considered an attractive package. He wasn't viewed as the best of catchers because of his surly disposition. He was considerate of those in his